हमारे युवा सैनिकों के बीच संपर्क और मित्रता बढ़ाने के लिए हमने जनरल रावत ऑफिसर्स एक्सचेंज प्रोग्राम की स्थापना की है, जो इसी महीने आरंभ हुआ है। फ्रेंड्स, आज हमने विश्वस्त और मजबूत वैश्विक सप्लाई चेन्स के विकसित करने के लिए आपसी सहयोग पर विचार विमर्श किया। रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी दोनों देशों के लिए प्राथमिकता और फोकस का क्षेत्र है और हम क्लीन हाइड्रोजन और सोलर में साथ मिलकर काम कर रहे हैं। पिछले साल लागू हुए ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट एकता से दोनों देशों के बीच ट्रेड और इन्वेस्टमेंट के बेहतर अवसर खुले हैं और हमारी टीमें कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन एग्रीमेंट पर भी काम कर रही है। फ्रेंड्स, पीपल टू पीपल संबंध भारत ऑस्ट्रेलिया मित्रता का एक प्रमुख आधार है। हमने एजुकेशनल क्वालिफिकेशंस की परस्पर मान्यता के लिए एक मैकेनिज्म पर हस्ताक्षर किए हैं, जो हमारे छात्र समुदाय के लिए उपयोगी होंगे। हम मोबिलिटी एग्रीमेंट पर भी आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। यह छात्रों, कामगारों और प्रोफेशनल के लिए लाभदायक होगा। भारतीय प्रवासी अब ऑस्ट्रेलिया में दूसरा सबसे बड़ा इमिग्रेंट समुदाय है। यह इंडियन कम्युनिटी ऑस्ट्रेलिया के समाज और अर्थव्यवस्था में उल्लेखनीय योगदान दे रहा है। यह खेद का विषय है कि पिछले कुछ सप्ताहों से ऑस्ट्रेलिया में मंदिरों पर हमलों की खबरें नियमित रूप से आ रही है। स्वाभाविक है कि ऐसे समाचार भारत में सभी लोगों को चिंतित करते हैं, हमारे मन को व्यथित करते हैं। हमारी इन भावनाओं और चिंताओं को मैंने प्रधानमंत्री एल्बेनीजी के समक्ष रखा और उन्होंने मुझे आश्वस्त किया है कि भारतीय समुदाय की सेफ्टी उनके लिए विशेष प्राथमिकता है। इस विषय पर हमारी टीम्स नियमित संपर्क में रहेगी और यथासंभव सहयोग करेगी। फ्रेंड्स, प्रधानमंत्री एल्बेनीजी और मैं इस बात पर सहमत है कि हमारे द्विपक्षीय संबंध वैश्विक चुनौतियों से निपटने के लिए और वैश्विक कल्याण के लिए महत्वपूर्ण है। मैंने प्रधानमंत्री एल्बेनीजी को भारत की G20 अध्यक्षता की प्राथमिकताओं के बारे में बताया और ऑस्ट्रेलिया के सतत सहयोग के लिए उनका आभार भी व्यक्त किया। भारत और ऑस्ट्रेलिया दोनों क्वाड के सदस्य हैं और आज हमने इस प्लेटफॉर्म पर हमारे बीच सहयोग पर भी चर्चा की। इस वर्ष मई में क्वाड लीडर्स समिट के लिए मुझे आमंत्रित करने के लिए मैं प्रधानमंत्री एल्बेनीजी को धन्यवाद देता हूं। उसके बाद सितंबर में G20 समिट के दौरान प्रधानमंत्री एल्बेनीजी का फिर से स्वागत करने का मुझे अवसर मिलेगा और मुझे बहुत खुशी होगी। एक बार फिर प्रधानमंत्री एल्बेनीजी का भारत में हार्दिक स्वागत है। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि उनकी इस यात्रा से हमारे संबंधों को नई गति और मोमेंटम मिलेगा। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, sir. May I now call upon Honourable Prime Minister of Australia to deliver his remarks.
Well, thank you very much, and I was very pleased to meet Prime Minister Modi again after our meetings at the G20 and the East Asia Summit last year. And I look forward very much to hosting Prime Minister Modi in Australia for the Quad Leaders Summit in May, and then returning to India in September for the G20 Leaders Summit. The relationship with India is multifaceted. The frequent high-level contact between Australia and India has further strengthened cooperation across a range of areas, including trade and investment, climate and energy, defence and security, and between the people of our two countries. Today, Prime Minister Modi and I discussed the strength of our economic relationship, demonstrated by the entry into force of the landmark India-Australia Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement last year. This has eliminated tariffs on more than 85% of Australian goods exported to India, benefiting Indian consumers and providing cheaper inputs for Indian industry. We also agreed on an early conclusion of our ambitious, comprehensive economic cooperation agreement as soon as possible, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to finalise that this year. This transformational deal will realise the full potential of the bilateral economic relationship, creating new employment opportunities and raising living standards for the people of both Australia and India. In recognition of a unique part of our bilateral economic relationship, we also discussed the potential presented by the India-Australia Audio-Visual Co-Production Agreement that has been exchanged here today. This agreement will support skilled jobs, creative exchange and the development of screen projects of cultural significance in both countries. Prime Minister Modi and I also discussed the urgent need to address climate change and support the implementation of the Paris Agreement. I am proud of the existing cooperation between Australia and India on solar and hydrogen, two technologies that are critical to our energy transition goals, and the opportunities for us to work more closely to secure critical mineral supply chains. I'm pleased that today we have exchanged terms of references for the Australia-India Solar Task Force and are able to announce Australian solar expert Professor Renata Egan and eminent Indian scientist Professor Anil Kothantharil as Task Force co-chairs. The Task Force will provide our governments with advice on opportunities to accelerate solar PV deployment and enhance supply chains. I welcome significant and ambitious progress under the defence and security pillar of our relationship. Prime Minister Modi and I discussed the increasingly uncertain global security environment and committed to strengthening the Australia-India Defence and Security Partnership to address shared challenges and work towards an open, stable and prosperous Indo-Pacific. I welcome increased defence information sharing between Australia and India, including in the maritime domain. We also discussed Exercise Malabar, which Australia is honoured to be hosting this year. In recognition of the strong education links between Australia and India, I welcome a new agreement to support the mutual recognition of Australian and Indian education qualifications, and am keen to further expand the presence of Australian universities here in India. I am also pleased to report that officials have made significant progress on a new migration and mobility partnership arrangement. This arrangement will promote and support the mobility of students, graduates, academic researchers, business people and other professionals from the emerging and high-tech sectors now and into the future, while also enhancing cooperation on issues pertaining to irregular migration. We hope to have more to announce on this new initiative the next time we meet in Australia. In sports collaboration, I was also honoured to join Prime Minister Modi at the first day of the fourth cricket match of the Border-Gavaskar Test Series on Thursday. And it was also a great honour, I must say, Prime Minister, to meet Sunil Gavaskar, VVS Laxman and other legends, including Harbhajan Singh, yesterday. It was great to open the match at Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad a stadium designed by a Brisbane-based architectural firm, a concrete example, literally, of the cooperation between Australia and India and the mutual benefit that arises from it. I'm pleased to have exchanged a revised sports memorandum of understanding today, which will promote cooperation between our sport-loving nations, including recognising equality, diversity and inclusion in sports, and that kabaddi will be showcased at the 2026 Commonwealth Games to be held in regional Victoria. I am pleased to announce the appointment of Mr Tim Thomas as the inaugural Chief Executive Officer of the new Centre for Australia-India Relations. The centre will build greater understanding of the Australia-India relationship and support opportunities flowing from our burgeoning connections. I am proud of the deep and vibrant ties between Australians and Indians. These links will grow closer as our cooperation on education, renewable energy, defence, culture and sports expands. I thank you once again, Prime Minister Modi, for your extraordinary welcome here to your vibrant, diverse, wonderful nation. It's been a great honour to be here.
Thank you, sir. This concludes the press statements. Thank you all for joining.
All right, so there you have Prime Minister Modi and the Australian Prime Minister after talks and several MOUs that were announced. But interestingly, Prime Minister Modi also spoke on the issue of how one is hearing of attacks on temples in Australia, and he said we raised concerns regarding this with the Australian Prime Minister, who has promised all help and that he will be alert to the matter. Let's go across to Maha now for more on this. And Maha, this is the last day of the Australian Prime Minister's 4-day trip to India, and the MOUs were signed just a short while ago. But interestingly also, Prime Minister Modi raised the issue of temples being vandalized in Australia.
Yes, and this was expected to be raised, Gargi, because India had expressed serious concern over the matter of safety of Indians in Australia and also people of Indian origin. In fact, there were also an incident where we saw the Indian people of Indian origin holding the tricolour and them being beaten up by some pro-Khalistani separatists there. In fact, this issue again was raised in the past, and when we spoke to the Australian Foreign Minister as well, who was visiting just a couple of weeks ago, she too said that the Australians themselves are horrified looking at these attacks. Their society is one that completely believes in democracy and expression of people through their religious beliefs or their origin beliefs, and therefore she said that action will be taken as per law, and this is something that Australia does not condone. In fact, she said that the Khalistan, this entire group does not have any status there in Australia. This has been clarified even by the High Commissioner before the Prime Minister travelled to India, because this has been repeatedly raised by the Indian side and these questions were asked. And today, as you're mentioning, the Prime Minister raised this issue during the conversation. It was expected to come up, but the fact that Prime Minister Albanese himself has now promised that all action will be taken in the matter and that safety will be a matter of concern for Australia, in the sense that they will ensure that safety to religious sites is maintained, is something that the Indian side is going to welcome, considering it's coming from the highest office in Australia.
All right, thanks so much, Maha, for joining us with all those details. So a short while ago, those statements made by Prime Ministers of India and Australia. We'll slip into a short break and return with more.